Okay, hello you beautiful people, welcome back, and in this update we are going to check out QNT's price chart and see what is happening in the short term. And spoiler alert, finally we are seeing signs of life showing up. But before we get into all that good stuff, let's at the beginning talk about Anchorage Digital. You see, they are not an exchange, they are not a wallet app that focuses on one single thing: secure custody for institutions. And that means hedge funds, asset managers, family offices, you name it. Anybody who needs to hold large amounts of crypto without relying on retail grade tools, they can get help from Anchorage Digital. Now, it's very important to understand that Anchorage isn't just another startup. No, they are actually backed by big names like, for example, Goldman Sachs, and they are one of the few platforms that pass the regulatory bar to become, this is a very important point, pay attention, a qualified custodian under United States law. And that is a huge deal because it actually means that they can now legally hold crypto on behalf of institutions with full compliance. So in conclusion, what are the things that Anchorage Digital is offering? Number one, they are offering cold storage custody with hardware-backed security. Number two, they are providing staking services for supported assets. Number three, they help institutions meet regulatory requirements for crypto exposure. And number four, they integrate with fund administrators, auditors, and compliance tools. Now, let's talk about a very, very important tweet, at least in my opinion, from DWP, Digital Wealth Partners, which, in case that you don't know what is going on in here, this is a registered investment advisor that works with high net worth clients and also institutions. And they just announced that through a partnership with Anchorage Digital, they are now offering institutional custody for QNT token. And in my opinion, this is very, very important. Why? Because when an RIA adds custody support for a token, it means that they have already done their research and their due diligence, and legal, compliance, security, custody infrastructure, these are all has to be already in place in order for them to offer custody support for a token. And it's very important to understand that they didn't just do this for hype. No, these people are doing this because this is the key. Their clients are asking for exposure to QNT and they need a compliant way to hold it. So in my view, this is a very, very clear signal that institutional interest in Quant is real. And now here is an important question for you. Why did Digital Wealth Partners announce their QNT custody partnership only and only yesterday? Because let's be honest, they didn't just wake up and decide to support a new token. No, these kinds of moves takes weeks, if not even months of legal preps, compliance checks, and infrastructure setup. So the timing, in my view, matters, and I do not believe that this is actually random. No. So in my opinion, here is what is really happening. You see, Quant Network is at the moment rolling out Overledger Fusion, which is a major upgrade that changes how institutions interact with blockchains, and DWP knows what is coming. Now, for those of you who are new viewers, you might ask, well, okay, what is actually Overledger Fusion? And I'm going to explain it to you real quick so you can have a better understanding what am I talking about. You see, Fusion is Quant's answer to the mess of bridges, wrap tokens, and fragmented liquidity. It's basically a multi-ledger layer that lets institutions move assets across chains. For example, I don't know, let's say Ethereum, Avalanche, whatever you name it, doesn't really matter, without relying on external bridges or exposing themselves to unknown validators. And instead of trusting random nodes, with the help of Overledger Fusion, you can pick who validates your transaction. And that, my friends, means number one, full control, number two, full compliance, and number three, no surprises. Also, it's very important to note that Fusion is supporting stablecoin interoperability. So, banks and asset managers can easily issue and move stablecoins across chains with audit trails and privacy controls already baked in. And here is my final point. You see, the job of Fusion, it's not only to connect chains. No, it is also letting institutions run smart contracts that are public, permissioned or fully private, and that flexibility is exactly what regulated players need in here. Now, here is the key point from all this. With Overledger Fusion going live, it seems like that institutional demand for QNT is about to spike big time, and DWP is seeing that, and they know their clients will want exposure to QNT, not to just simply hold it, but probably also to use it in Fusion powered workflows. So they are getting ahead of the curve in here by locking in custody rails before the demand hits full speed. So as my final take, you see, this partnership, in my opinion, between DWP and Anchorage is a major signal for you. And this is telling us that QNT is entering the institutional zone where compliance, custody, and mainly infrastructure matter way more than price charts. And with Fusion unlocking secure cross-chain operations, QNT hopefully is going to become the gateway for regulated capital to enter blockchain ecosystem. So if you are watching for signs of serious adoption, I think this might be a very important one to watch. So let's just wrap this up with a quick recap. We covered a lot of subjects in today's update. Number one, Anchorage Digital, which is a federally regulated crypto bank, is now offering secure custody for QNT. This is a huge deal. Number two, Digital Wealth Partners, an RIA serving high net worth clients, just partnered with Anchorage to onboard QNT into institutional portfolios. Point number three, the timing of that announcement lines up with the rollout of Overledger Fusion, which I do not believe that this is actually an accident. Point number four, Overledger Fusion is solving real problems, including cross-chain stablecoin movement, permission smart contracts, validator control, and compliance-first architecture, which are very important reasons to attract massive amounts of adoption. Point number five, institutions now have the infrastructure to deploy capital into QNT since secure custody, legal clarity, and the last but definitely the not least important, technical readiness are all in place. And the final point, the recent NPM hack, in my view, highlights why secure compliant infrastructure matters much more than ever now, and QNT is positioned right in that zone. So put all that together, and here is the takeaway for you. From a fundamental perspective, you are realizing that QNT is entering the phase where institutional adoption is being actively built, and if that's not a big reason to be bullish, I don't honestly know what is. So in terms of fundamentals, I think we are having definitely good news, and you should actually be able to read through the lines. And please do not think that the timing in here was just an accident. No, I think these guys absolutely know that demand for QNT token from institutions are going to explode. So they are just basically preparing for an explosive adoption of QNT token. So definitely good news here. Now let's jump on the live chart and see if the action is starting to reflect what the fundamentals are already telling us. And guess what? In the short term, I am seeing some optimistic sides. But talking about news like this doesn't necessarily translate to some short-term strong bounce, or let's say a huge bull run effective immediately. No, news like this do absolutely matter, but for the mid to long term. So the real question when it comes to fundamentals is this: do we have the right structures also in terms of technical to support all the fantastic news? And the answer, in my view, without really a whole lot of doubts, is absolutely yes. Why is that? You see, I think off of the lowest low in quant, we are having a beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, and followed by that, this probably to about the recent lowest low around, let's say $58, is a 4-year long-term consolidation pattern, most likely in form of an ABCDE, since as you can see, we are having in here on one hand lower highs and on the other hand a series of higher lows. So, the price is just getting compressed more and more, and it is simply a matter of time before we see an absolute explosion. Why? Okay, simple reason. Usually long-term consolidations and compressing price at the same time lead to explosive moves on the up or maybe downside, depending on where you are when you are having that pattern. And in case of QNT, I can definitely tell you, look, we are primed for a huge bull run, hopefully and most likely by the end of this cycle. And do we have the right subwaves starting from the lowest low? I think absolutely yes. You see, in my view, this is going to be from here to about this high, 5-wave up into a wave 1. Followed by that, we are probably having an A, B, C running flat into wave 2. And after our correction is over, or who knows, maybe even it's over already, guess what? We are going to have a massive move up into wave 3, 4, 5. And in my view, only and only into this wave 3, we can easily set an all-time high and take the highest high somewhere around $450. But I do not believe we are going to stop there. No, usually, sure, we are going to have some sort of a move the moment that we take the all-time high. And that's why I want to tell you, look, we can set an all-time high in this phase and then probably get into a consolidation pattern into our wave 4. But that's just probably going to be it. A simple correction structure in order to gather the power for the next huge move up into wave 5. And by the end of this cycle, I am not going to be surprised in case that QNT is going to, I don't know, let's say hit $1,000 plus. This, in my view, is going to be absolutely normal. And it's not even some moon boy targets when you pay attention to the market cap of QNT when it's going to hit $1,000. And I don't really even think that we are going to crack the top 10, maybe even top 20. So overall, in the midterm, we are looking extremely bullish. Do not get that twisted. Now, what is happening in like very short term? So let's go on 30-minute time frame. If you remember, the last time that we talked about Quant's price chart, we were right around the lowest low, and I said, look, I have seen what I needed to see, and I'm just waiting for a very important bullish sign suggesting that we have hit our final low, because in terms of the subwaves, I can definitely get them to work to about the lowest low if I want to say that we have hit our final bottom. But I'm not actually in the business of catching absolute lows. You are never ever going to see me do that. Instead, here is what I would like to do. You see, in terms of Elliott waves, if you want to say that we have hit our final low, then okay, you need to actually see off of the lowest low a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up first. This specific structure is called an impulsive movement. Rules for it are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, wave 3 should not be the smallest wave. And in terms of the sub waves, you probably know it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. And for wave 2 and 4, we can have many different possibilities. Honestly, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Let's say sure, WXY into wave 4 and an ABC into wave 2. Now let's go on the live chart and see what is going on in the very short term. Maybe it's best to go on some lower time frames, maybe from 15-minute chart. Okay, it's very important to understand, by the way, that in my own time, I rarely go on such lower time frame, but this is for the sake of educational purposes, so I'm thinking it's fine. And right away, I'm here to tell you that I have to see this move up continue quite a bit in QNT. Why? Because this is probably the best scenario that I can come up with. This can be wave 1, correction for 2, decent move up into wave 3, correction for 4. I'm gonna say probably to about this point in form of, yes, an ABC running flat and another move up into wave 5, followed by that. This is most likely going to be an ABC or maybe a WXY in form of a double zigzag. Honestly, doesn't really matter. Also, this is another 5 wave up, a very clear one, followed by a correction down. Let's say maybe WXY, again, not really that important. And what are we having right now? I think most likely this is a wave 1, correction for 2, good move up into wave 3, correction for 4, and we are probably going to have another move up into wave 5. And at this point, you might say, well, okay, isn't this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on a higher degree, suggesting we have hit our final low? For a very important reason, I'm going to argue probably not. Why? Okay, let's go on a less busy chart from trading view, since in here we are having better looking candlesticks. So here's the situation. As you can see in here between this move and also this one, yep, we are clearly having overlapping of the waves. And you might say, well, okay, can this be an expanding leading diagonal, or maybe even a leading diagonal in form of a wedge? And the answer for that question, I'm gonna say, is probably not. Why? Because this supposedly wave 3 by like the smallest margin is actually a little bit bigger than our wave 1. So this means we should only and only have an expanding leading diagonal, right? Well, unfortunately, no. Why? Because in an expanding leading diag, wave 4 has to be bigger than wave 2. However, in here, this is definitely not the case. Wave 4 is a bit bigger than wave 2. So, you know, none of those structures are allowed. Let's actually put the chart on regular scale and have a quick measurement from, excuse me, this point to about here and compare it to our supposedly wave 4. There we go. As you can see, by like a very small margin, wave 2 is bigger than wave 4, meaning what? This is not here nor there. Basically, you are not allowed to consider some sort of a diagonal to about the highs, and also not an impulsive structure to around here. So what does that mean? I'm gonna say, if in QNT we are looking bullish, let's actually stay on this chart, then odds are we are having an extension structure. Hence why we said earlier, I need to see this move up continue in quant for a bit. And at that point, I'm going to be able to say, look, this is 1, this is 2, good move up into wave 3, correction for 4, another move into wave 5, and on a higher degree, this yellow 5 wave can be into a larger degree, wave 3, correction for 4, another move on the upside into wave 5. So in conclusion, in the short term in QNT, since we are able to find 5 waves on the upside, and especially since in this phase up we took this important high, we can argue these are optimistic signs, sure, but I don't really think that we are fully out of the woods yet. Let's be a bit more patient and watch the current structure very closely, and let's hope that this is going to continue. And at that point, assuming that we identify all the right subwaves, you know what, fair enough, we can be quite bullish with more confidence. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Quant's price chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.